We're going to do a part sewing video of this suit. Now I actually made a start. I attached the piece on and then cut around the necklines both and placed them facing each other, both right sides facing each other, and just did a stitching, notched into it, and then seamed the excess onto the lining side of the kameez, and then just basically pressed it. This is where the piece has come. I've made sure that the piece wrong side comes upon the wrong side, and because there is a slight visibility of the seaming, so if I left the fabric on the inside it would have showed more. So to try and get away from that, I've just done, you know, the jord on the outer side. We could have neatened this off by overlocking it and stuff, but you know what, I was just feeling a bit lazy because I want to get it I want to get this over and done with. Now also, if you remember when I cut this, I did cut it, the lining, a little bit more. So after attaching the piece, I've just trimmed around it and made them both equal. I will just quickly show you. I haven't done it on the back, so I'll just quickly show you when I get around to doing the back. But anyway, just put the camera. Right, okay. You know what, I am at a loss actually, because I am in a new place, and my old place I have sort of downgraded and downgraded, and this isn't really befitting. Where I started off with like quite a big place, massive rooms of sewing, and then I've sort of like, I think people progress upwards and I've progressed downwards, which is a bit of a shame, because for sewing, no matter how big your place, it's just never big enough, which is the problem that we have now. We haven't, right, okay, so as you can see, the armhole here has not been trimmed, so it's a lot smaller than what the actual armhole is. So I'll do this all at once. Just gonna place this lining on top of it, and after I've done the armhole shoulder seam, I will trim this. Ouch! I will trim this to make them equal. If it makes it easier for you, you know, it's a good idea. I mean, depending on your experience, it'd be a better idea to actually, prior to stitching this, sorting it out. Again, I'm just being lazy now, and you know what? Laziness never pays. I'm going to take this and I'm going to even it out, because otherwise you end up making mistakes, and those mistakes end up costing you. So I'll come back. Oh, hold on, let's try and get this back on the table. This is where we make mistakes, you know, where we try and skim corners. Do you know how they say, sometimes we get a bit carried away and we think we know too much, and then we make mistakes, and then we have to unpick and redo everything because we've gone and made a silly mistake. So it's better to take extra caution and sort it out prior to getting to that stage where it's going to end up costing you extra time in unpicking and sorting it out. Okay, so that's like, Now you see, that much extra time means that we can probably get a far better result than stitching it and then struggling trying to get it right. I'm going to slightly lessen it on the back area as well. That much extra effort meant that we'll get a far better shape now that we know exactly how much is. And the other thing that we can now skimp on is actually we can do the one seam and we can do the attaching. So what I'm going to do is place these two pieces and turn that over. Well, I'll take the camera back there and I'm just going to do an invisible seam. There are some things that you can skimp and you can actually make your job a lot easier. We're not going to add any extra neckline piece. Okay, so just take the whole of this to the sewing machine. Stepped on my glasses there. Just twist that around to the opposite side. Take the neckline, Now all that needs is a nice good press, and we are away. Now the next thing that I would advise is press this, lay it flat on the table, take a good fitting kameez, lay it inside out and mark out against your kameez the fitting marks, and then we're going to prepare the sleeves, fit the kameez out and attach the sleeves. So I'm going to show you exactly what I'm going to do with this, but before we do that, we'll try and make the video as long as possible rather than breaking it up here. I'm going to prepare the piece for, this is the belt for the salwar, and the salwar itself, we'll just do the very quick seamings for the salwar. Okay, that's both the parts of the salwar. Take the one and take the attach these pieces with a straightforward simple seam. Now the only thing that we're going to make sure is make sure that you've got your seam on both in a symmetric way. Now we don't need overlocking on this because it's all straight edging. The way to define a symmetrical way is, actually I've just finished there, so I'm just gonna take the other one and just go straight up, attach my other poncha piece to this. If you think I'm talking gibberish, I'll just explain. Okay, so this is the poncha part, and then again this is the poncha part, so they're both meeting up, and that way we started from the top end and we're going to finish at the top end. So we work downwards and then we started from down, and now we're going back up to finish on the other side of. If you follow that simple method, you'll never get it wrong. Okay, so this, we're just going to do one seaming of the crutch, and then we're going to attach the belt. So both the pieces facing each other, right sides facing each other. And at the moment we've got the seam that we've just done, both coming on the outer side leg line. Now, just done the one side salwar, we're going to attach the belt. The belt has been notched center, halved again and halved again. So these are 2/4 marks. We're going to start off with placing the belt underneath, salwar part on top. This is the crutch line, matching the belt line, and we're going to start and we're going to do like the pleats. Okay, so we're going to take about an inch of fabric, half it. As soon as that's trapped underneath the needle, take another inch and half it. As soon as that's trapped, take another inch and fold in half. As soon as that's trapped, we take another. Each time we're tucking underneath so that as soon as the machine needle penetrates that pleat and holds it in place, we form another one. Now a lot of people have problem forming these pleats, and if you find it difficult to pin and tuck underneath, use a point of a needle to actually push it underneath, because sometimes, now if my machine has an automatic foot lift, if your machine doesn't have an automatic foot lift, you will have to manually lift this lever at the back of the machine to lift the foot up to tuck the pleat underneath. So just lift it up, leave it up, tuck your pleat underneath, put the lever down, seam. As soon as your pleat is tucked underneath, do the next one. Now I've reached the point where I'd notched both of those ends, and that basically is telling me that the amount of pleating that I needed to do in that area has been done. So now I'm just going to straight seam, and this is my center notch for where the middle of the back is. So that crutch seam needs to go much with this, and then I've got just this much material that I need to do a couple of pleats towards the back of the silhouette. Most of the pleating is done towards the front of the silhouette. So that's half of it done. Now we're going to go vice versa and opposite side. So we had about 5 darts at the back. Let's do one more. Now that's the front notch, and basically I've got an area of about 6 inches where I've got to fit this excess of about 18 inches. So now what we're going to do is, going in the opposite direction, do the 1-inch darts. So that's the pleating for the belt. We're just going to close this center seaming off. Now if you're going to overlock this seam prior to closing this off. This material is not too bad with the frame, so I'm not really too bothered. I'll overlock this right at the end. Don't want to break in between. That's the piece. Type some interfacing to the spare fabric that we cut for. Now the reason why I'm adding extra is because I wanted to save as much material from the salwar fabric as possible for the lining, so I am adding an extension. Generally you would leave this in excess of length so that you can do the fold without adding extra material, but that normally wastes quite a bit of fabric, and if you're short on fabric, then this is the best alternative. Now unfortunately these suits do come with a set amount of fabric, so what it means is you have to be wise when sewing, otherwise you end up getting short. The right side of the salwar, place both the right sides facing each other, and make sure to leave a slight bit of excess, and just stitch close to the edge of the interfacing. So we're just going to top seam this with two seams, one at the bottom and one at the top. So now we're almost at the completion of the salwar. We just need to, well, what I'm going to do is overlock these seams and press this, and then do the belt and lay out, decide on how much of the poncha I want left, and then probably about 7 inches, and basically just close off the inside leg seam.